Most Canadians are quietly wealthier than they think, and at the same time, nowhere near as wealthy as their numbers suggest they should be. Here's a number that will probably surprise you. The median net worth of a Canadian family in 2023 was $519,700. That means half of all Canadian families, not millionaires, not Bay Street types, ordinary working families, have crossed the $500,000 mark in net worth. So why does it not feel that way? Why does the person sitting at $520,000 in net worth still feel like they are one bad month away from trouble? Why does the couple who has done everything right, bought a home, contributed to their RRSPs, paid down their mortgage, still feel financially anxious most of the time? The answer has everything to do with 3 specific tipping points in how Canadian wealth actually grows. And if you do not know where those tipping points are, you could be closer to a wealth acceleration than you realize, or farther, without ever knowing why your numbers are not moving. The 2023 Survey of Financial Security was released by Statistics Canada in October 2024. It is the most comprehensive look at Canadian household balance sheets we have had in 4 years, covering nearly 40,000 homes. And it paints a picture that is both more encouraging and more unequal than most people expect. The headline number, $519,700 in median net worth, represents a 57% increase from 2019, even after adjusting for inflation. That is an enormous shift in a short period of time. But buried inside that number are patterns about how Canadian wealth grows that are genuinely useful. Patterns that most people never hear explained clearly. This video is about those patterns. Specifically, it is about the 3 structural moments where a Canadian household's net worth tends to stop growing slowly and start growing fast. Before we get to the tipping points, we need to establish what normal looks like. Because if you do not know where the middle is, you cannot understand where the edges are. The median Canadian family net worth in 2023 was $519,700. That is the midpoint. Half of all families are above it, half are below it. The average is considerably higher at $995,900. Call it just under $1 million. The fact that the average is nearly double the median tells you something important. A relatively small number of very wealthy households is pulling the average upward. The median is the number that actually reflects what most Canadian families have. Now, who is that median family? Statistics Canada describes them as a typical working household, a couple possibly with children, where the primary income earner is in their 40s or early 50s. They likely own their home, they have an RRSP, they have some consumer debt, but they are managing it. That is our baseline. Now let's see where the tiers go from there. To be in the top 50% of Canadian families by net worth, you need a household net worth above roughly $496,000. You are above the middle. You are doing better than most, and you probably do not feel like it. That is because $496,000 in net worth for most Canadians is almost entirely tied up in home equity and RRSP savings, money you cannot spend day to day. If your house has gone up in value and you have been contributing to a pension for 15 years, you might already be here without feeling like a wealthy person in any meaningful sense. You are asset rich and cash flow constrained, and that combination is responsible for a lot of the financial anxiety in this country. To reach the top 25%, the picture starts to shift. You are looking at net worth in the range of roughly $700,000 to $800,000. These are households where the mortgage is significantly paid down, where both partners have been contributing consistently to registered accounts, and where assets have started to compound meaningfully. But even here, the feeling of financial ease tends to lag behind the numbers. People at this level are typically in their 50s, approaching the peak earning years, but also approaching the costs of those years, like university tuitions, aging parents, home maintenance. To reach the top 10% in Canada, you need a household net worth of approximately $865,000 or more. This is where the numbers start to reflect something qualitatively different. Families at this level typically have paid off or nearly paid off their mortgage, have substantial RRSP and TFSA holdings, and often have non-registered investments as well. For the first time, investment returns are beginning to contribute meaningfully to net worth growth, not just savings rate. The top 5% threshold sits at roughly $1,009,000. You are a millionaire. You are in a group of roughly 800,000 Canadian families, and here's the thing. You may still not feel financially free because so much of that wealth is illiquid, tied to the principal residence and to pension assets that cannot be touched for years. The top 1% requires a household net worth of at least $7.4 million. According to the Parliamentary Budget Office's High Net Worth Families database for 2023, there are roughly 169,000 Canadian families at this level. They control approximately 23.8% of the country's total wealth. For context, the bottom 40% of families control just 3.3%. At the very top, the numbers become almost abstract. There are approximately 108,000 Canadian families with net worth above $10 million. About 100 families have crossed the billion-dollar threshold. But here's where it gets interesting. The distance between the top 50% and the top 10% is roughly $369,000 in net worth. The distance between the top 10% and the top 1% is $6.5 million. The distribution is not a gentle slope, it is a cliff, which is exactly what makes the tipping point so important. Here's the part that most personal finance content never tells you. The question of where you are in the net worth distribution matters far less than which direction you are accelerating. Because Canadian wealth does not grow at a steady pace across your lifetime. It grows in bursts, and those bursts are predictable. Statistics. Canada's own data shows that Canadian families aged 55 to 64 had a median net worth of $873,400 in 2023. Meanwhile, families under 35 had a median net worth of $159,100. That is a difference of over $714,000 over roughly 3 decades. But the growth is not linear. Families aged 35 to 44 have a net worth that has barely moved from the under 35 group. In proportional terms, then between 45 and 64, it more than doubles. What is happening in that window? 3 structural events, 3 tipping points that change the physics of how wealth grows. Tipping point 1, the mortgage crosses a threshold. When your mortgage balance falls below approximately 50% of your home's value, something shifts. You are no longer just building equity through principal payments. The home's appreciation is now working on a much larger equity base. Each 1% increase in your home's value adds more dollars to your net worth than it did 5 years earlier, because the gap between what you own and what you owe has widened. Families where the primary earner is 55 to 64 and who own their principal residence had a median net worth of $914,000 in 2023, even without an employer pension plan. The home alone, at a late stage of mortgage repayment, generates a kind of momentum that renters simply cannot replicate. And this is not an argument for or against homeownership in today's market. It is just an accurate description of how wealth has compounded in Canada over the past 25 years and why families with a paid down mortgage tend to experience sudden dramatic growth in their net worth in their 50s. Tipping point 2, investment assets pass a critical mass. There is a rough threshold, somewhere in the range of $200,000 to $300,000 in invested financial assets, below which compound growth feels almost invisible. You are contributing $10,000 a year, the market returns 7%, and your portfolio grows by maybe $30,000. Respectable but not transformative. Once you cross into the $300,000 plus range in financial assets, the math changes in a way you can actually feel. A 7% annual return on $400,000 is $28,000 without adding a single new dollar. On $600,000, it is $42,000. For context, the median Canadian employment income is approximately $59,900 per individual. So, at $600,000 in invested assets, your portfolio is effectively contributing the equivalent of roughly 70% of a full Canadian income in growth every single year. That is the tipping point. That is when your net worth stops being primarily a function of how much you earn and save and starts being driven by what you already have. Tipping point 3, debt disappears. This one is underestimated because it shows up on your balance sheet gradually until it does not. The median Canadian household debt in 2023 was $100,000, and mortgages accounted for 82.5% of all household debt. As long as significant debt exists, every dollar of your income that goes toward debt repayment is a dollar that is not building assets. More importantly, your net worth is the difference between assets and liabilities. When liabilities fall, net worth rises mechanically, even without any new investment. Families who reach zero consumer debt, credit cards cleared, car paid off, line of credit closed, often report the sensation of their financial position opening up in their late 40s or early 50s. That is not a coincidence. The debt-free state redirects cash flow, reduces financial anxiety, and eliminates the drag on asset growth. The statistical evidence bears this out. Age 45 to 64 is consistently when Canadian median net worth accelerates most sharply, and it aligns almost exactly with the period when most Canadians are eliminating or approaching the elimination of major debt. The 3 tipping points almost never happen at the same time, and they do not have to. But when 2 or all 3 converge, substantial home equity, a large investment portfolio, and minimal debt, the effect on net worth is not additive. It is multiplicative. So, why do the people at the top of these tables often feel just as financially uncertain as those at the bottom? Part of it is lifestyle inflation. Statistics Canada researchers describe it in terms of expenditure patterns. As Canadian household income rises, spending tends to rise to match it. The family earning $150,000 tends to have the same debt-to-income anxiety as the family earning $80,000, just with bigger numbers, bigger mortgage, bigger car payment, bigger monthly obligations. Part of it is the illiquidity problem. If your net worth is $800,000 and $600,000 of it is in your principal residence, you cannot spend it, you cannot invest it, you cannot use it to weather a job loss or a health event without significant disruption. The number on paper and the financial resilience you feel day to day are two entirely different things. And part of it is social comparison, what psychologists call the hedonic treadmill. A household in Saskatoon at $519,000 in net worth is, by any measure, doing better than the majority of Canadian families. But they are not comparing themselves to the majority of Canadian families. They are comparing themselves to colleagues who just renovated their kitchen, to friends whose children are in private school, to media narratives about what comfortable looks like. In Canada's largest cities, where housing costs have reshaped what wealth even means, someone with $800,000 in net worth can look at a house listing and feel broke, because the asset they would need to buy has simply outpaced what their existing assets represent. The data from Abacus Research in 2023 found that 67% of Canadians said the cost of living felt as bad as it ever had, in the same year that median net worth hit an all-time high. Those two facts are not contradictory. They reflect the same structural reality. Aggregate wealth has grown, but the things people need to feel financially secure, principally housing and retirement income, have grown in cost even faster than the assets many people hold to access them. Here's what this means practically. If you are in your 30s or early 40s, the single most important financial variable you have is time, not income, not even savings rate. The tipping points happen because assets compound, but they can only compound if the assets exist and if debt is not neutralizing the effect. $1 of consumer debt canceled today has a compounding benefit over the next 20 years that is just as real as $1 invested. If you are in your late 40s or 50s, look honestly at where you stand against the three conditions. How far are you from crossing the home equity threshold? How close are you to $300,000 plus in financial assets? How much consumer debt remains? You do not need to hit all three to accelerate your net worth. But knowing which one you are closest to completing and deliberately targeting it gives you traction that a general save more strategy does not. And if you are already past the tipping points, the data has a specific warning for you. This is when lifestyle inflation does the most damage. The families at $600,000 in net worth who can see the tipping point approaching are often the same families expanding their housing costs, their vehicle costs, and their discretionary spending in anticipation of a wealth that has not quite arrived yet. The gap between a household that reaches $1 million in net worth at 62 and one that reaches it at 58 is often not income. It is spending decisions made when the tipping points were still 2 or 3 years away. The $500,000 median Canadian family exists. You may already be in that family or close to it. What separates the households that stop there from those that double again in the next decade is not luck. It is which of those three structural forces they manage to set in motion and when. If you want to understand where you actually stand among Canadian households, on income, on savings, and on the mechanics of how wealth compounds at each stage of life, this channel covers that data directly with no vague generalizations and no products to sell you. Subscribe to Maple Money, and if you found this useful, share it with someone in your life who is building toward those tipping points right now. We will see you in the next one.